weighing 180 kilograms. I confessed my love to the school hunk. Unexpectedly, not only did he agree to be my boyfriend, but we also got married after graduation. After I got pregnant, he colluded with his family to force me to drink an abortion potion, causing me to bleed to death. Before dying, Parker gloated to me, "Actually, I've never loved you. I only married you for your hookup and property." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in college on the day I met Parker. 1. Delilah, lol. Isn't that your crush, Parker? My best friend poked my chubby belly, pointing at the boy leaning against the railing, reading a book. I followed her finger and looked over. The boy in the white shirt was tall and thin, engrossed in his book. A gust of wind lifted the hem of his shirt and ruffled his bangs. I couldn't help but think of the poem. A young man in fine clothes, riding a spirited horse. Parker was a senior, 1 year ahead of me. Not only was he handsome and had an outstanding temperament, but he was also top of his class, a consistent recipient of national scholarships, and frequently participated in design competitions between universities, winning countless awards. The only flaw was that his family was poor. He came from a remote mountain village with no background. His father had passed away, his mother was disabled, and he had 3 older sisters and 2 younger brothers. He was a noble youth from a humble family, with a lot of pressure at home. But that wasn't a big flaw. Girls in school who liked him and chased after him lined up, but he rejected them all. I was a fat girl from a wealthy family. Even this school, my parents had spent a lot of money to get me in through connections. But even a fat girl had her own humble dream, to become Parker's girlfriend, although this was a public joke in the school. Because no one would believe that Parker would fall for a fat girl, who was neither pretty nor academically successful, and who weighed 180 kilograms. 2. Because of my weight, I was very self-conscious and never dared to greet Parker actively. One rainy day with apricot blossoms, I was walking towards the classroom, eating a sandwich prepared by my family's nutritionist, while stepping on the puddles on the ground. Bang! I bumped into someone walking towards me. Because of my weight, I almost knocked the person over. I looked up, ready to apologize, and saw that it was Parker. My face turned red instantly, and the sorry I was about to say became stammered. Sorry, Parker, I didn't mean it. Hasn't anyone told you that you look cute when you blush? Parker said with a doting expression, reaching out to pick a fallen apricot blossom petal from my hair and tucking it into his book. Just like that, in my previous life, I was immersed in his gentle smile and began my ill-fated relationship with him, which ruined my life. It wasn't until I died that I discovered this encounter was just a carefully planned bait for Parker to get close to me. So this time, I wouldn't be fooled again. Therefore, I brushed away the hand he had placed on my hair and said coldly, "Excuse me, but boys and girls should keep their distance." Looking at Parker, who was stunned in place, I secretly laughed. 3. In my previous life, after my encounter with Parker, I fell deeply in love with him and couldn't get enough. Not only did I use my allowance to buy him his first pair of AJ sneakers, his first iPhone, and his first camera, but I also sponsored his 2 younger brothers' education, spending a fortune to get a smile from him. Encouraged by my friends, I even bought 9,999 eternal roses to decorate the scene and planned to confess my love to him. However, when Parker arrived, I hesitated. In the crowd, everyone was cheering. Suddenly, someone pushed me hard, and I fell into Parker's arms in the sea of roses. I thought Parker would push me away angrily, but unexpectedly, he hugged me tightly in front of everyone. "Delilah, you took the first 99 steps towards me. For this last step, let me come to you." Just like that, I became Parker's girlfriend. After we were together, in order to please Parker, I spent all my money on him and fed all the nutritious meals my family had prepared for me to Parker to supplement his nutrition. As a result, because I stayed up late with him to work part-time, my hormones were out of balance. Not only did my obesity worsen, but I also developed a lot of pimples. Coupled with the fact that I was reluctant to buy myself beautiful clothes, I lived every day like a Syrian refugee, without a trace of a rich girl. When my parents saw me looking so haggard every day, they tried to break us up. But at that time, I was blinded by love and nothing could persuade me. At that time, I naively thought that Parker had sincerely given me a last chance. But I didn't expect him to just choose me as his target for exploitation. So this time, I won't be so stupid. Because Parker has encountered me several times, and I have remained indifferent. In order to intentionally approach me and attract my attention, Parker actually took the initiative to invite me to watch a movie. The movie he chose was good. It was the newly released Hot and Spicy. Watching the leading actress transform from a 200-gene fat girl into a slim and vibrant goddess, I was also moved. This time, I want to be the heroine of my own story. 4. So I spent all the money I had been saving to buy gifts for Parker on myself. I signed up for the most expensive package at a boxing gym near the school and asked the most handsome coach, who was also the gym owner, to help me train and lose weight. Looking at all the guys in the boxing gym who had both looks and abs, I couldn't understand why I had been so devoted to a bland guy like him in my previous life. Because the boxing gym was so visually appealing, and coupled with my scientific training and the nutritious meals my family's made prepared for me, I lost a full 50 gene in a few months. After losing weight, I followed beauty bloggers on my phone and bought a lot of skincare and makeup products to learn how to apply makeup. I also asked the family stylist to help me choose clothes and select a style that suited me. After a while, I also transformed into a charming person, like the leading actress at the end of the movie. Not only did I lose weight and become more beautiful, but because I was already tall, even boys on the street would call me the school beauty and give me love letters. When I ran into Parker again, he was also stunned by my transformation. "Delilah, is that really you? How did you become so beautiful?" Parker stared at me lustfully, not hiding the desire in his eyes. So it turns out that even a scholar is just like that. When he sees a beautiful woman, he can't help himself and only thinks about the lower half of his body. "Parker, it's you. I have a question about English that I don't understand. Can you explain it to me?" Parker was just worried that he couldn't find a chance to chat me up. So now he found an excuse to open up. In front of me, he was either pushing up his glasses with one hand or pretending to think while reading a book. I knew he was about to lose control. Sure enough, a week later, he came to confess his love to me. 5. On the day he confessed his love, he held a bouquet of 99 vibrant roses and brought a large group of onlookers to serve as his backup, trying to morally blackmail me into accepting his confession. I sneered inwardly. Parker really went all out to take advantage of me. Before that, when we went to a hotel together, I was the one who paid for the condoms. After being with Parker, his studies were clearly not as diligent as before. He spent all his time and energy trying to please me. He thought that by hooking up with me, he could rest easy. Parker often PUA'd me before. "Delilah, you're so fat and not very smart. No guy would like you except for me." So I naively thought that Parker's liking me was a charity to me. Every day I was like his maid, helping him bring breakfast on rainy days, occupying seats in the library on snowy days, queuing up to buy him the latest sneakers, and asking my family's connections to find him the top professors in the school as his mentors. Times have changed. This time, I'm going to make Parker taste what it's like to be a lickspittle. To stay by my side and please me, he would run to West Street every day to buy the buns I loved, run to East Street to pick up my dry-clean sneakers, and queue up to buy new bags. He would also have to endure my unpredictable and hot and cold temperament. Yesterday, because he was 5 minutes late in buying the buns, I took the opportunity to throw the buns on the ground. "Parker, is this how you love me? It's fine if you don't have money, but you're even late to buy me breakfast. What's your purpose in life?" I saw his lips tremble, his face turned red, but he didn't dare to say anything in the end. "Parker, pick up the buns I threw on the ground and eat them, and I'll forgive you," I said to him with a smile. "I'll eat them, Delilah. Please don't be angry, okay? I promise I won't be late next time." Parker knelt down and picked up the dirty buns and stuffed them all into his mouth. It felt so good. In the past, in order to better control me, Parker would often give me sugar-coated bullets. "Delilah, you don't need to study. With me, You don't need to learn anything. Just focus on accompanying me. Delilah, you don't need to lose weight. You're so cute when you're chubby. Delilah, don't you like eating fried chicken, French fries, and cola? Eat more. I'll treat you to fried chicken for the rest of your life. I naively thought that was his infinite tolerance for me, not knowing how many knives were hidden in that love. Behind every sugar-coated bullet, he was trying to kill me. He wanted to ruin me. Only after being reborn did I understand. 6. Because my family business is in the clothing industry, I chose to study design. Since I got into this school through the back door, my academic foundation was poor, and to catch up with others, I had to spend more time and energy. Parker, my senior in the same major, had good academic performance and naturally became a good learning resource for me. And he felt complacent because he found his value in being by my side. Before he met me, he studied hard, was a model student, and participated in many design competitions, winning numerous awards in order to alleviate the heavy pressure on his family. After being with me, he thought that by controlling me, he could take over my family's business, and gradually gave up managing his own studies, spending all his time on games and entertainment. Because he came from a poor rural village with no signal and no smartphones, he was very interested in everything here after coming to the big city. But because he had no money and had to work part-time, he had no time to experience new forms of entertainment such as computer games, bars, and KTV. After being with me, he had money to spend. Not only did he buy himself a whole new set of clothes and use the electronic products I gave him, but he also frequented various high-end internet cafes, KTVs, and restaurants, fully experiencing the life of a city person. He was almost bewitched by the glamorous world and forgot where he came from. His 3 older sisters had dropped out of school early to work in the city to pay off debts, and his 2 younger brothers were still studying at home, only being able to afford 2 meals a day. I reminded Parker, "Parker, your sisters are still working outside to pay off debts, and your 2 younger brothers are still studying. You should save the money you're spending on your brother's education." He scolded me for looking down on him and minding my own business. He even secretly sold the bag and high heels my mother gave me, claiming, "Delilah, in my heart, you are the most beautiful. You don't need these stinky luxury goods at all. Your temperament is the best luxury." At that moment, I suddenly understood why a variety show I watched many years ago was banned. Just like those rural boys, Parker, as soon as he went to the city and felt the pleasure brought by the glitz and glamour, was blinded by this flashy world and forgot his original intention. To make Parker successfully take over the family business after graduation, I asked him to minor in financial management, but he refused, saying that he was naturally intelligent and came to university just to enjoy himself. Seeing that he was not minoring in financial management and was even very slack in his own major, not even attending professional classes, and spending every day playing games in the dormitory, asking me to deliver takeout when he was thirsty or hungry, I was afraid that he would not be able to graduate on time and could not take over the family business. So I urged him to study hard and confiscated his game console. Parker lost his temper at me. "I hate it when people ask me to study. I'm so tired. I don't want to work hard anymore." "Delilah, it's fine if others look down on me, but I didn't expect you to look down on me too. I'm with you just to live a more comfortable life. You dare to ask me to minor in a second major and use your family business to pressure me. Look at yourself in the mirror. Who else would like a fat ass like you besides me? Your family business will eventually belong to me anyway. You can't even operate the most basic PS. If your parents hand over the business to you, you'll eventually ruin it." His eyes were bloodshot, as if he wanted to kill me. 7. But I don't care anymore. Compared to my future, Parker is simply not worth mentioning. I should have woken up a long time ago. "Delilah, aren't you going back to the dorm?" Parker, looking half asleep, glanced at his watch and urged me. I had been studying in the library all day, and Parker had been by my side, playing games for the first half and sleeping for the second half. In between, he acted as my logistics, running errands for me, fetching water, and finding materials. This time, I didn't try to persuade him to study hard or minor in financial management. "Parker, after you graduate, I'll talk to my dad and let you come directly to our company. I'll give you a manager position, and you'll get a dividend at the end of the year. Parker, you don't have to study so hard. You've already worked hard for over 10 years. Isn't college meant to be for fun? Parker, you're so smart, you catch on quickly. You don't need to listen to lectures or even go to class. I'll tell your class monitor for you, and he won't call on you. Parker, I found a new and fun bar. Want to go play? Who doesn't know how to butter someone up? With my flattery, Parker stopped attending his major classes, didn't eat on time, ordered takeout every day, stayed in the dorm playing games, and stayed up late going to bars and clubs. Not only did his studies fall behind, but his health also deteriorated, looking sickly like a ghost. While he was wasting his life, I found a new study partner. Not only did I improve my academic performance, but with the help of my study partner, I also passed the English Level 4 and 6 exams and minored in financial management, preparing for me to take over the family's clothing business after graduation. In my junior year, because Parker was not focused on his studies, he failed 6 courses in the final exam and had to retake them. So he was held back a year and took the same courses as me in my sophomore year. During my sophomore year, in order to get into graduate school and enrich my resume, I participated in many design competitions that Parker had previously participated in. Because I was naturally sensitive to colors and inherited my parents' good taste, I also won good places in these competitions and received many awards. In my previous life, I focused all my attention and energy on Parker, worrying about his studies, his health, and his future every day, which caused me to have no time to focus on myself. I didn't realize that I was also such a talented and excellent person. 8. When I entered my junior year, Parker was still struggling with his sophomore courses. His mentor, seeing his neglect of his studies and unable to persuade him after repeated attempts, gave up on him. Later, Parker didn't even take his graduation exam seriously and ended up skipping it, causing his mentor, who had always been optimistic about him, to directly give up his guaranteed graduate school admission. In the end, the mentor, seeing my efforts and the many awards I had won, transferred his disappointment in Parker into hope for me, and so I successfully obtained the guaranteed graduate school admission that originally belonged to Parker. After losing this opportunity, Parker's eyes dimmed. I comforted him. It's okay, Parker, you're so smart. Even if you don't go to graduate school, you can still get into a graduate program through your own efforts. Besides, now that the guaranteed admission is in my hands, it's like keeping the water within the family. It's the same thing. When you graduate, I'll tell my parents about our relationship. They will definitely like you and give you a manager's position. Hearing my promise, Parker picked me up and spun me around. Delilah, I knew it. You're the one who loves me the most. Just like that, I finished my graduate studies, while Parker was still wasting time in university. In the end, not only was he put on academic probation, but he was also expelled from school for repeatedly frequenting places of ill repute. Thus, his university career came to an abrupt end. When we graduated from college, Parker, in order to control me, said to me, Delilah, now that we've graduated from college, we're both adults. To prove your loyalty and love for me, you need to give yourself completely to me. At that time, I was so insecure that I was afraid of losing his love and would never say no. So I was taken by him to a hotel and gave him my virginity. It was very painful, so painful that I cried. I thought he would cherish me, but Parker said, Delilah, you've lost your virginity now. No man will want you without me. I took a deep breath and felt sorry for my insecure and naive self in my previous life. 9. Ding dong. My phone buzzed with a notification. Your account ending in 9999 has completed a payment of 1,988 yuan to HJ Hotel on May 20th. Another ding dong. Delilah, to celebrate your birthday, I'm waiting for you with a surprise in room 5022 of HJ Hotel. I chuckled, having the nerve to call it a surprise while spending my money. Parker is truly a master at sponging off others. The hotel room was decorated, with perfume sprayed everywhere, rose petals scattered, and electronic candles on the floor. In the center of the room was a large box tied with a ribbon, I walked over, and the box suddenly opened. Surprise! I saw Parker, wearing a bow tie and fluffy cat ears, popping his head out of the box. Parker, happy birthday. This time, I'm packaging myself and giving it to you, along with my first time. Looking at his body without any abs and hunched over from staying up late, I almost felt like throwing up. How can you prove it's your first time? Chastity is a man's best dowry, but you go to bars every day. I don't believe you're pure. Parker became humble. I'm sorry, Delilah. I'll be a good boy from now on. After graduating with my master's degree, I took over the family's clothing business. Parker came to beg me, Delilah, you promised to let me join your company and be a manager after graduation. Parker, it's not that I won't let you be a manager. The problem is that you haven't even graduated from university yet, and my parents don't agree with us being together. But I can apply for you. You can start from the bottom, work hard for 2 or 3 years, and when your ability improves, the manager position will naturally be yours. But Parker had wasted 5 or 6 years and didn't even know how to use basic office software, so he couldn't make it in the workplace. 10. Not only did he suffer from workplace discrimination, but he was eventually assigned by the department manager to be a cleaner, responsible for cleaning the company's toilets every day. I comforted him. Parker, no job is easy. With me, you won't be cleaning toilets forever. Parker's relatives back home heard that he had graduated from university and found a rich girlfriend and thought he had finally made it and was living a luxurious life. So his disabled mother, his father's ashes, his 80-year-old grandmother, 3 sisters, and 2 younger brothers came to rely on him, thinking they could live a good life from then on. Parker came to beg me, Delilah, my family has come to the city to rely on me, but they don't have a place to live. Don't you have a big flat in the city? Can we stay there temporarily? Even before we got married, Parker was already calculating on my property. It was the same before. Parker asked me if I could let his family live in the big flat my parents gave me. After I agreed, he brought his entire family of 7 or 8 people to crowd the living room. Just like the plot in the TV series Double-Sided Adhesive. Every day after cooking, I couldn't even take a piece of meat. Even when eating sauerkraut, I could only eat the cabbage stalk, and all the tender cabbage hearts were taken by Parker's mother and given to him and his 2 younger brothers. She even justified it by saying, Delilah, you're already fat enough. Eat less meat and vegetables, it's not healthy. Parker's grandmother took advantage of her age. Not only did she make me pour night pots for her personally, but when she was sick and couldn't turn over in the hospital, she also ordered me to wipe her butt and change her diapers. Parker's disabled mother was even more bizarre. She didn't allow me to sleep with Parker at night, saying that she wanted to sleep with her son to cultivate their relationship, so I could only sleep on the sofa. Parker's 3 older sisters, who dropped out of school at a young age to work to support Parker, had hardly bought any new clothes, so they took all my brand name bags and shoes for themselves. His 2 younger brothers were even more unscrupulous. Not only did they like watching adult movies at a young age, but they also peeked at me while I was taking a shower. When I told Parker, he blamed me instead, saying that we were all family, and it wouldn't hurt to take a look. Even his father's ashes were placed in the most conspicuous place, in the living room of the flat by his mother. 11. I told Parker, could his family be a little more restrained, but he said, Delilah, do you think I'm giving you too much face? Do you know how hard my mom and sister worked to support me through college? My sister dropped out of school early to work to support me. For my future, they haven't gotten married even though they are over 30. What have you done for me? You have no idea how the other half lives. Thinking back on everything that happened, this time, I wouldn't be soft-hearted anymore. I'm sorry, Parker. My parents have taken away the big flat in the city center. They said if I insist on being with you, they will no longer support me with anything. But I have an underground garage here. I can clean it up and you can live there. If you don't mind, you can live there first. I'll go and beg my parents. They love me so much, they won't ignore us. Parker had no money, so he could only accept living in the underground garage. After his family arrived, they thought they would be living a luxurious life, but they could only live in the underground garage and eat street food. They immediately went crazy on me. "Delilah, your family is so rich. What's wrong with letting us live in your mansion? It's your luck that Parker likes you. Parker, you control your evil wife. Mom, don't make a fuss." Parker stood aside timid. He was very good at judging the situation and knew that he dared not offend me at this time. Otherwise, he would not even be qualified to live in the underground garage and clean the toilets. "Parker, don't worry. This is only temporary. When my parents are no longer angry, I'll go and beg them to give me back the flat." Parker nodded gratefully. 12. The underground parking lot was dark, damp, and occasionally visited by rats and cockroaches. There was also a musty smell that I couldn't stand for even a minute. After making up an excuse to Parker, I ran out of there. Because the parking lot was in poor condition, dark and damp, Parker's mother, who already had bad legs, developed rheumatism and complained every day, so much so that she couldn't even stand up. Parker's 80-year-old grandmother was restless and insisted on going with Parker to see the company environment. When she saw that Parker was cleaning the toilets in the company, she fainted and was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Parker's 3 older sisters hadn't been to school for many days, but they were very wild and strong. Seeing that their mother and grandmother were injured, they claimed to come to the company to teach me a lesson. I was leisurely drinking coffee and reviewing documents in my office when the 3 shrewish women burst in. "Delilah, you bitch, look what you've done to our family." They were about to rush over and slap me. I smiled lightly. They probably didn't know that I had been practicing boxing for 6 years and had basically reached the level of a professional boxer. So I gave Parker's 3 sisters a lesson. Unexpectedly, they were all knocked down by me. Because I couldn't bear to see these stupid women being exploited by Parker's family, I reminded them, "You're all grown up. It's time to think about yourselves. Isn't 20 years of being exploited by your own family enough? It's not too late to wake up now." Unexpectedly, they couldn't understand my good intentions and thought I was trying to sow discord. Looking at their stupid appearance, I could only bless them. "This city is not suitable for you. Go back to your hometown and find a man to marry." Parker's grandmother and mother cried and made a fuss, and Parker had no choice but to beg me again. "Delilah, let's get married. I'm willing to marry into your family. Delilah, if you don't mind, I can move into your house early." I couldn't help but laugh. This was after his plan to live in a big flat failed. He started to calculate on my family's mansion again. I said with difficulty, "Parker, if you know your family's conditions are not very good. If you don't know, you might think you're eager to covet my family's property. We're not married yet, and you're moving into my house. People will talk. You're a college graduate, and I don't want people to talk about you behind your back, saying that you're a kept man. Besides, the older generation has very traditional and conservative ideas. If a man moves into a woman's house before marriage, my parents will think you're not reserved and that you have your eyes on my family's property. If the first impression is not good, I'm afraid they will have a grudge in their hearts." 13. Although Parker had some complaints in his heart, he didn't dare to show them. What he feared most now was breaking up with me, as he would have no chance of turning his life around. A few months later, I went to the garage to visit Parker's family. If they had changed, I planned to give them a sum of money and let them go back to their hometown to start over. After all, I wanted to give them a chance to reform. As soon as I entered the garage, I smelled a pungent odor, and rats and cockroaches were scurrying around on the ground. It was quite a scene. Parker's mother was lying on the bed groaning, and as soon as she saw me come in, she immediately came to life, jumped out of bed, and jumped in front of me, calling me a bitch and raising her hand to slap me. I blocked her with my boxing-trained arm and smiled. "Auntie, do you know I've been practicing boxing for 6 years? If you dare to hit me, then forget about Parker becoming a company manager. You should weigh the pros and cons yourself." Parker rushed over and pushed his mother to the ground. "Haven't you caused me enough harm? Do you have to sabotage my relationship with Delilah?" Parker looked completely broken, almost going crazy, but his mother still refused to give up. "You scheming bitch. Parker can become a manager without relying on you." Parker is a graduate of a prestigious university, and he is a graduate student. He will have no trouble finding a good job. I almost heard the funniest joke in the world. Auntie, you don't know, do you? Parker never graduated from college. He was expelled from school long ago. Where did he get a graduate degree? For so many years, you and your 3 sisters have been working to support him for nothing. Now no one will take him and accept me. Parker's mother was struck by lightning and fainted from anger. 14. His 2 younger brothers were crying constantly, and I was simply annoyed. Parker's grandmother and mother were both hospitalized, and because they couldn't afford the medical bills, Parker came to my door begging me. It happened to be raining heavily that day. Parker stood at the door and begged me, "Delilah, my grandmother is about to die, please save her." I suddenly remembered that the last time I was forced to take an abortion pill by his family, it was also raining like this. Back then, after marrying Parker, I got pregnant very quickly in order to tie him down. When I was 3 months pregnant, his grandmother and mother insisted on taking me to a backstreet clinic for a gender determination, saying that only if I gave birth to a boy would I have made a contribution. Parker stood by and said nothing, tacitly agreeing. After the examination, the doctor said I was carrying a girl. His grandmother, who strongly preferred boys, believed that having a girl would affect the family's fortune, so she cooked a bowl of abortion pills, lied to me that it was a tonic for pregnancy, and tricked me into drinking it. After drinking it, I had severe abdominal pain and almost bled to death. Parker's mother sat beside me, cracking sunflower seeds and adding fuel to the fire. "This abortion pill works very well. I brought it to you specially from my hometown. It's just a bit painful, and it will be over soon." Parker watched me struggle in pain on the bed, but remained indifferent. In this way, I missed the best time for treatment. By the time I contacted the emergency center and was sent to the hospital, it was too late. The unborn baby in my belly had already been aborted, and I was also in critical condition due to excessive bleeding. Parker immediately told my parents about the news with exaggeration. Worried about my safety, they hurriedly drove to see me, but Parker had tampered with my family's car in advance, causing the brakes to fail. My parents were driving the faulty car and had a car accident on their way to the hospital, being hit by an oncoming truck, and their bodies were shattered beyond recognition. I was originally rescued, but Parker told me the news of my parents' death in a car accident, because I had hurt my body from drinking the abortion pill, and because of excessive grief, my life was coming to an end. 15. As I lay dying, Parker sat by my bedside peeling an orange. "Delilah," he said, "this is the last time I'll peel an orange for you." With all my remaining strength, I asked him, "Parker, why me?" "Wanna know? Then I'll tell you everything," he replied. "When I was in college, I was handing out flyers at the back gate of the school. The weather was so hot I was sweating profusely, couldn't even get a drink of water, and was constantly being glared at and shooed away. Then I looked up and saw you, ugly and fat, getting out of a shiny BMW, with a personal driver to open the door for you. I wondered why there was such a huge gap between people. How could someone as ugly as you be sitting in a BMW going to school, while I, with all my knowledge, had to hand out flyers in the scorching sun? Later, I secretly investigated your family background and found out that not only did your family have its own business, but you were also their only foolish daughter. From that moment on, I set my sights on you, making you my target to climb up the ladder. That way, all your family's assets would eventually be mine. Delilah, the truth is I never loved you. I only married you for your huku and assets. Did you know that every day I was married to you, I was cheating? The thought of your fat body made me want to vomit. And in fact, I also planned the car accident that killed your parents. But you'll never have a chance to fight back, because you're about to die. Everything you have now is mine." Parker laughed maniacally, his face contorted in a terrifying way. He reached out and pulled out my oxygen tube, ending my life. It was still raining outside, and I felt my eyes welling up. After instructing my parents not to go out in the rain, I went to the hospital with Parker. 16. Parker's mother, lying in the hospital bed, was gravely ill. She had stomach cancer. Her face was gaunt, and she tossed and turned in bed, moaning in pain, begging us to give her a quick death and let the doctor give up on her treatment. But how could I let her die so easily? So I called the doctor and gave her the best medicine, making her suffer from the pain of the disease and the pain of chemotherapy every day, making her unable to live or die. Parker, look how filial I am. I'm giving your grandma the best medicine, hoping she'll get better soon. Parker's mother cursed in the ward every day. Why haven't I died yet? Because Parker had stimulated his mother last time. His mother went crazy after waking up and became a mental patient, unable to take care of herself every day, eating, drinking, and defecating in bed. I thought Parker would see reality and take his family back to his hometown. Unexpectedly, he sold his own mother and siblings to human traffickers and came to me alone. Delilah, I know you don't like my family, and I've cut ties with them all. Can we get married now? Delilah, I really love you. I can't live without you. I asked him bitterly, Parker, do you really love me, or do you love my family's assets? 3 months later, I got married at the most luxurious hotel in the city center. But the groom was not Parker, but Noah, my former boxing coach and also the owner of the boxing gym. Because my family is in the sports clothing business, and Noah's family is a sports family, the marriage between our two families can be considered a good match, and it can also boost the growth of both families' industries and occupy a larger market. Usually in idol dramas, wealthy and domineering CEOs and rich young ladies always choose to be with Cinderella and poor boys. But in the cruel reality, the rich will only choose partners who are equally strong to create more wealth together. To give Parker a little face, Noah and I didn't invite him to our wedding. 17. Just as Noah and I were facing each other, exchanging rings and reciting our wedding vows, a disheveled Parker burst in. Delilah, I love you, and I'm the one who should be marrying you, he shouted. Delilah, I'm the manager of your family's company, the future chairman, and only I can bring you happiness. Parker became hysterical, and people in the audience raised their phones to take photos and videos. Delilah, this madman is disrupting our wedding. What do you think we should do with him? Noah asked, protecting me. Since he's crazy, please have the security guard send him to the nearest mental hospital, I said. So Parker was dragged away by the security guards and sent to a mental hospital. A few months later, I went to visit Parker at the mental hospital. His health had been poor to begin with, and after being stimulated by me at the wedding, he developed mania and depression. After staying in the mental hospital for a while, he was completely ruined. When I went to see him, he was already delirious and didn't recognize me. He sat in a wheelchair, thin and wearing a striped hospital gown, his face pale and his eyes dull. He was mumbling, Delilah, I want Delilah. Delilah will come pick me up to be a manager. I sat in the mental hospital for a while, casually recalling everything that had happened with Parker. The only right thing he did with me was to take me to see the movie Hot and Spicy, which made me sober up and realize how I should go forward. I think, just like Elodie, the protagonist of Hot and Spicy, I only knew what I wanted and how to become a better version of myself after I died once. After figuring this out, I paid for Parker's 3-year stay in the mental hospital and left. 18. On my way home, my parents called and asked, Nan, come home for dinner quickly. I've made your favorite sweet and sour fish. Noah texted me, Honey, where are you? I've already grabbed that limited edition bag you wanted. Walking home, I looked around. The sun was shining brightly, and everywhere I looked, there were birds singing and flowers blooming. It was full of life. I told myself, Delilah, your life is just beginning.